Two companies make almost every chainsaw chain in America, and one of them owns half the rival brands on the rack and builds them on the same line. That wall of chains you think you're choosing from? It's the brand name lie. And the worst part isn't even on the shelf. It's what you've been paying extra for. If you've ever stood in front of that rack trying to pick a chain, you've felt the choice. This brand is cheaper. That one's the Pro one. This store has its own house brand at a discount. It feels like a dozen makers fighting for your money. That feeling is an illusion. The entire chainsaw chain market, the actual cutting chain, the part that does all the work and wears out fastest, is controlled by essentially two manufacturers. One of them you've probably never heard of by its real name. The other is the only major saw company that still makes its own. Start with the proof that the choice is fake. That budget house brand chain sold as Woodland Pro? It's rebranded Carlton. Carlton is owned by a company called Oregon Tool. So is the Oregon brand chain hanging right next to it. A shop representative put it flatly on a professional forum, saying Oregon and Carlton both come out of the same factory. 3 names, Oregon, Carlton, Woodland Pro, at 3 price points, in 3 spots on the wall, all off one production line. And that's just 3 of them. The giant behind it is Oregon Tool. Until 2021, it was called Blount International. And even now, most chainsaw owners have never heard either name, because Oregon Tool almost never sells under its own corporate label. It sells under brand names. By its own statement, Oregon Tool is the #1 manufacturer of saw chain and guide bars on Earth. It runs 10 manufacturing plants across 5 countries, employs roughly 3,300 people, and sells into more than 110 countries. And it does not just make Oregon chain. It owns Carlton. It owns Sabre. It owns Windsor. It owns KOX. Those names sit on different packages, at different prices, in different stores, and they all roll out of the same company. So how did one company come to own the cutting edge of nearly every saw in America? The story starts with a Beetle. In 1947, an inventor named Joseph Buford Cox watched a timber beetle larva chew through a log in the Pacific Northwest and noticed its jaws cut wood in a way no saw chain of the era could match. He designed a chain that copied it, founded the Oregon Saw Chain Company, and that design, the chipper cutter, became the foundation of the modern saw chain. Every chain you have ever run descends from it. And here's the thing you have to understand. Oregon earned its place honestly. It made the best chain in the world, fair and square. That's not the villain part of the story. The villain part is what a company does after it wins, when the smartest move stops being keep making the best chain and becomes buy everyone who competes and quietly spend down the reputation you built. In 1985, the company was absorbed by Blount Industries, and Blount went shopping. The most telling purchase is Carlton. Carlton wasn't some random competitor. It was founded in 1963 by Ray Carlton, an engineer who had worked at Oregon, left, and started his own chain company right down the road in Milwaukee, Oregon. For decades, the two were genuine rivals, the two great Pacific Northwest chain makers, and loggers argued over which was better. Then in 2008, Blount simply bought Carlton. The rivalry didn't end because one chain won. It ended because one company bought both and chose to keep both names alive. That choice is the whole trick. A customer who picks Carlton specifically to avoid Oregon hands their money to the same parent either way. You don't retire the rival's name. You keep it on the shelf so the loyalty keeps paying out. Then comes the extraction. Once a company owns the category, the product quietly drifts. For decades, Oregon and Carlton chain was made in the United States, Oregon in Portland and the Midwest, Carlton in Milwaukee. American steel, American tolerances, the chain that built the reputation. Then, production started moving to Canada, to Missouri, to Brazil, and increasingly to China. And here's the deliberate part, the part designed to keep you from noticing. Read the fine print on a package of pre-made loops today, and you'll find Made in United States, or Made in Brazil, or the giveaway line, Assembled in China from components made in United States or Brazil. The name on the box never changed. What's inside it did. The loggers and arborists who run chain every day started reporting Oregon loops that pulled to one side, wouldn't hold an edge, and ran soft compared to what they remembered. The exact complaint that trails every brand that gets bought, consolidated, and quietly offshored while the logo stays comfortingly the same. And here's the tell. It's in the price. A Woodland Pro loop runs about 12 cents a link. Oregon's own premium LGX and LPX loops, just a few cents more from the same parent company. The value chain and the pro chain cost almost the same because they're nearly the same chain. The price was never about quality. It's about marketing. The only chain that actually costs more is Stihl, up to 50 cents a link, 4 times the price, because it's the one company that makes its own and prices it like the separate thing it is. But none of that is the worst of it. Because Oregon Tool didn't just sell chain under its own family of brands. For years, it was the private label supplier behind other chainsaw companies' chain, including Husqvarna. Sit with that. The owner who bought genuine Husqvarna chain, who paid the brand premium specifically to match their genuine Husqvarna saw, who did everything a loyal customer is supposed to do, was buying Oregon chain with a Husqvarna sticker on the box. Same chain, different label, higher price. That is the brand name lie in its purest form. You paid extra for the name, and you got the same chain the company already sells under 3 other labels. It was only recently that Husqvarna broke away to make its own chain in Sweden, and the fact that it made industry news tells you everything. When a brand stops buying from Oregon Tool, it's headline-worthy, because almost no one else has the capacity to walk away. So who is the second company, the one that breaks the monopoly? Stihl. And it matters here for the same reason it matters everywhere in this niche. It refused to outsource the thing that defines it. Stihl makes its own chain, in its own facilities in Switzerland and Germany, and always has. It does not buy its cutting chain from the giant that supplies everyone else. That's why, on the professional forums, the real debate almost always comes down to just 2 names, Stihl Chain and Oregon Family Chain, because those are the 2 actual manufacturers behind nearly everything else on the wall. So what does this mean for you, standing in front of that rack? It means the brand on the box is telling you far less than you think. The mid-priced rival brands, Carlton, Sabre, Woodland Pro, most house brands, are overwhelmingly the same company, increasingly the same chain, at different price points, designed to make you feel like you chose. Stop reading the brand and start reading 2 things: where it was made and who actually makes it. A USA-made Oregon or Carlton loop is genuinely excellent chain. The same name assembled in China from components is a different animal wearing the same logo. And if you want chain from a company that answers to its own standard instead of supplying everyone else's, Stihl and now Husqvarna are the 2 that make their own. Because the lie was never that the chains are bad. Plenty of them are excellent. The lie is the choice, the manufactured belief that a dozen brands are competing for your money when 2 companies make almost all of it. One of them owns half the names on the rack, and the cheap house brand and the mid-tier competitor came off the same line an hour apart. So before you reach for the box, ask the only question that matters. Who actually signs the check behind this name? Check who makes it. Check where it's made. And the next time someone swears they'd never run Oregon, only Carlton, you'll know they've been running Oregon all along.